Good morning, good morning. A couple of quick clarifications on some announcements there. First of all, I will be sending out an email with a video with all of the instructions on how to do the book buyback. It's not real complicated if you follow the steps that are there, but the video will come out and we'll walk you through some of that, and she gives some extra information on that. So if you were here at the beginning and saw that video, which was before the news, that's the video that will be coming out. Other one, Tuesday is when we're hoping to have the puppies here on campus. We're hoping it's nice enough that we can have the puppies outside. Keep an eye out for an email from me about the puppy happy hour. If it's really rainy or the grass is really wet, we're probably going to move inside Yoast so you can come and play with the puppies. And if you saw the puppies that were on the screen, that's 3 of the 5 that I think are coming, so you'll be able to come and play with them. What time? Oh, that will be from 4 to 5 tomorrow, hopefully, if it's not too wet. And now I've forgotten the last one. Thank you, Kara. Oh, well, it'll come. Movie. The other thing that we had on before the news was the trailer for the movie on next Monday. Again, that's for 2 credits. Please come and join in for that one. There'll be a discussion afterwards. The trailer makes it look a little heady. It's actually a fun video to get into, so come and enjoy that one with us. Join us in prayer, and then we will be hearing from the Thailand trip, so join me in prayer. Loving God, as we come quickly to the end of our semester, come and be with us in the stress, in the pressure. Help us to know your calming spirit. Help our minds to work well. Help us to be able to connect with our friends and our classmates. And may we enjoy these last 2 weeks here at Heston. And God, as storms come in, we think of the people whose houses have been hurt by the tornado last Friday, and we pray for them that they have good shelter this week in more storms. Come and be with us today, and help us to hear more about Thailand. In your name we pray, amen. This morning, we are welcoming the Thailand students, the students that went on the business trip to Thailand, and they will be sharing some of their experiences with us. So let's welcome them to the stage.
Hello, it's good to be back. My name is Kara, and I will be starting us off by doing a rundown of where we were on our trip. Once the PowerPoint gets put up, perfect. So on our 3-week trip, it was split into 3 different sections, Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and Krabi. But to start the trip, we spent the first 3 days traveling with a half-day stop exploring LA, and then a whole day in an airplane with our 17-hour flight from LA to Singapore. It was a bit rough. Then our first 4 days were spent in the big city of Bangkok, where we met with a few coffee companies, visited a mosque, and went to some of the places we had researched before the trip. Then we hopped on an overnight train and went up to Chiang Mai. We were in Chiang Mai for a majority of the trip, spending a total of 9 days there. Here is where we went to the elephant sanctuary, visited more coffee shops, saw multiple temples, met with a monk, and had our overnight stay with the Karen tribe in the mountains of Huham. Then, to close out our trip, we went to Krabi, where we got to relax and decompress on the beach for 3 days. These 3 days flew by, and before we knew it, we were back on a 15-hour flight to LA. After 3 days of traveling again, we arrived back on campus at 2 a.m. on Saturday morning, tired from the jet lag and welcomed home with that cool Kansas air. Now, each of us will go through the main points of our trip, and I will be starting us off by talking about the coffee portion. While we were in Thailand, coffee was our main focus, centered around this topic of entrepreneurship for the greater good. We met with multiple business owners in their coffee shops, and we even got to go behind the scenes and meet with some coffee farmers too. To name a few, we met with Blue Coff, Roastology, Akaama, and Kun-O and Kunjo. We saw everything from the coffee bean itself to the coffee plantations, which were on crazy steep mountains, to the machine where the bean gets peeled, to the roaster, and then to the final product, which we made sure to drink lots of. While seeing the whole coffee process was very cool and got me even more hooked on coffee, the most impactful part for me was getting to talk to the different coffee entrepreneurs. I was deeply inspired by their personal stories, and I was motivated by the passion they had for their communities. The most meaningful of these coffee entrepreneurs for me was at Aka'ama, where we talked with Kun Lee. Lee inspired a lot of us with his drive for inspiration and innovation. He grew up in a small village tribe, got the opportunity to go out and get an education, and then came back to his village to teach his people how to grow and produce coffee on their own. He now has 3 coffee shops in Thailand, and we got to visit the most recent shop while we were there in Chiang Mai. Getting to talk to Lee about his story and then see his coffee shop in person just brought it all together for me. Throughout this trip, there was a theme of wanting to come back where your roots are to help your community. It defined entrepreneurship for the greater good perfectly and inspired me to think about the good I can do for the communities I've been a part of and will be a part of in my life. And coffee is just one medium of millions to serve others. Thank you.
Okay, let me just get my notes here. Oh, jeez. Okay, so my portion is the Karen tribe. It's spelled like Karen, but it's pronounced Karen. And so we traveled all morning, and we got there late afternoon. It was a long drive through the mountains, very pretty drive. And once we got there, the Karen family took us to their coffee plantation. And in this tribe, coffee is a major source of revenue. And so after we hiked a little bit through the mountains, we came back, had dinner with their family, a very traditional dinner. We kind of sat on the floor and had food, and then they came in and had food. And so after that, we shared stories and sang songs together. And this was a particularly cool experience for me because this was the first time I got to play a guitar on that trip. And I have this weird thing where I have to practice every day. So, and after that, we all went to bed and we stayed in their homes. And we had this unique experience of sleeping on mats on the floor under mosquito nets. And sorry, Patrick, about screwing up the mosquito net. So the next morning, we woke up. And we had breakfast with them, and we just kind of hung out for a little bit before we left. And before we left, they gave us these scarves that they weaved in off of one of those traditional, like old-fashioned style spinning wheels with thread. And they gave each one of us these, and this one is mine. So, yeah.
I'll be talking about interfaith dialogue. One of the main themes and biggest highlight for me on the trip was being able to meet with people of different cultures, different religions, styles of worship, faith. Specifically in Thailand, 95% of the population practices the Buddhist faith. Very different culturally than what it is here. As we visited Thailand, you'll notice in this picture we are at a mosque. You can go to the next one if you want. The next picture. There we go. So these are one of the monks that we visited in one of the temples. So throughout Thailand, we visited a number of temples. The Buddha statue, very common in Thailand. And as we had some of these dialogues with Buddhist monks, Buddhist abbots, it was an interesting perspective to hear, especially because we had to see Buddhism through the lens of Thai culture. It's very different in Thailand compared to other countries like India. And so the Buddhist faith, the way that it is practiced, and some of the monks that talked to us talked about it being a philosophy, and it being very different than other books that I've read or other ways that we might know Buddhism, which is more in the religious sense. And so it was nice to see that there was a appreciation for the congruence between the Buddhist faith and other faiths, and it being more of a philosophy, surrendering, letting go, and selflessness. If you want to go to the last picture, not the last, the one before, sorry. We met with one of the imams in the local mosque in Bangkok, and I just had a real deep appreciation for this guy. He walked us through some of the lessons of entrepreneurship and of business that we can learn through texts like the Quran and other Muslim practices. And despite my differences personally with him and his faith, there was just such an appreciation in sort of the unity that I heard and listened to, and the way that me and him saw life eye to eye. And so it was a major highlight. If you want to go to the last photo. This last photo is us on Easter Sunday morning. We met with one of the local Thai congregations. We attended church there, and we got to see a lot of generosity in place. One of the things that they do on Easter morning service is they have these, the young people give the old people baskets for appreciation, for forgiveness of their sins, of their youth. It's something very different that we are not, we really don't know what it is here in the United States. And so it was really wonderful to see generosity, humility, and just an overall sense of respect to the next person. So highlight for me, essentially, interfaith dialogue. We got to have a lot of conversations, challenging ones. They stretched me, they changed me in many ways, and it also equipped me more to have some of those conversations in the future with people who agree with me and disagree with me. And yeah, lots more to talk about, but time is short, so.
Hello, my name is Romina, and I'm going to talk to you guys about our day to the elephant sanctuary. I think my friends here would agree that this was the day that we were most excited for, because of course we were going to meet elephants for the first time, but going there it was so much more. The owner of the organization there gathered us together before going to the elephants, and he talked to us about his job, and it was amazing how passionate he was about what he did. And all the people that worked there were not related to each other, but they worked as a family, and that was so inspiring to me, that how people in the workplace can be as a family. And then something else that was stuck on my mind was what the owner of the organization told President Joe, that he shared with us, was that he did not actually get help from the government or other elephant sanctuaries, but people try to give donations, and it's something that he doesn't like. And I feel like that is amazing, because he wants to get what he worked for. And yeah, I think that it was really inspiring to me. And then, of course, we got to play with the elephants, we got to walk with them, we got to take pictures, we played on the mud with them, and then also got to take a bath with the elephants. And even why one of the elephants literally pooped on the water that we all were in, I would totally say that that day was a highlight for all of us. Thank you.
It's me. We were all very excited about the food. I'd say, yeah, it was fantastic. Fish in Thailand, because Thailand is close to the coasts, are of much higher quantity and quality than I'd imagine than they are here in Kansas. It was really, really good fish, but other foods as well. If you go to the next slide, yeah. Oh shoot, let me bust up my notes. I've been freestyling. There was an astounding lack of cheese in Thailand, and other forms of dairy and lactose were actually quite rare, and so I see some people cheering. Good for you. But yeah, that was very noticeable for us, and how that affected what we ate, and especially coming back, re-entering into lactose world, it's been an interesting experience for some of us. Breakfast was usually the most consistent meal that we had. Most of the places that we were staying at were hotels, and so they usually had a combination of traditional Thai food as well as the great American breakfast of eggs, bacon, and whatever else, toast. And so that was the most consistent meal that we had. But then moving on to lunch and dinner, we usually got into a bit more freestyling, which was like the last slide, going out to dinner with Joe and just walking to different food stalls, ordering whatever street food we found that looked good to us, and just exploring and trying different stuff. It was really, really fun. Yeah, there were exercises of improvisation and scavenging. It was kind of really neat to meet new people and exercise our Thai speaking skills when it comes to ordering new food. Spice-wise, they can really push the upper limits of our bland palates sometimes. Toby did a wonderful job of handling it. So did others of us. Others of us didn't do as well with handling spice, but it was enjoyable all the way through. One of the best parts towards the end of the trip, we visited a cooking class. As you can see, Chef Jack is about to get crazy in the kitchen. We made masaman curry, cashew chicken stir fry, as well as tom kai gai, which is an appetizer soup full of chicken, all sorts of spices and herbs that we chopped up ourselves, and a coconut base for the soup. It was a lot of really good food. Every single meal we had, Toby said, I think this is the best meal we've had here in Thailand. And he didn't stop saying that until we got back. It was delicious.
Hi, I'm Patrick. I'm going to talk about our last days in Thailand, where we got to visit the. Sorry for my stutter. We got to see the beautiful beaches in Thailand. So very nervous. The thing I want to share, the two things I want to share with you, was the fact that we got to see beautiful nature with friends in Thailand. We got the beaches. We had an opportunity to actually to island hop throughout beaches for one day, and we visited one island that was called Monkey Beach. It's Monkey Beach, and we saw cute monkeys. We went swimming. We dove in the water and had an absolute blast. The other half that I want to share about you was that we only spent a few days in this area of Thailand, and it was a huge tourist area. And so most of our conversation among our group was about how this area was treated differently, treated different by the economically. And how bad COVID had affected this area, especially. But then onto that, the really good part about spending our time here was actually being able to find tourists in Thailand. Nowhere else really we got to see other people from other parts of the world, and so there was two occasions specifically. There was one where I went to go exchange my laundry, and I ran through a group of guys from who were there visiting from Australia. And they shared their story about arriving into Thailand last week, and how when they landed they tested positive for COVID, and to spend their first 7 days isolating. And the second was when I went out to lunch with Toby by ourselves one day. We heard people, the people behind us talking German. And so, we asked them, hey, you speak German, we speak German, and we got to have a long conversation with some people that came from with some people who had just come from Vietnam, who are on a journey from Germany. and they were super excited from Thailand, but they had just got there, and so we got to share all the stuff that we had learned from our time over there, all the stuff that we knew about Thai culture and how to behave and how to behave respectfully, and sort of what was considered to be rude, and they really enjoyed that, and that was what was awesome was spending our time here. Thank you for listening to me.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm going to be talking about the Thai culture. So with all these elements that we got to explore in Thailand, we noticed a theme that connected to the culture of Thailand, which is their sense of community. Each one of the businesses we visited incorporated giving back to their communities, the concept of enough is enough, and sharing their business with their competitors. That is Thai culture, immense consideration and respect for the other. We got to see the diversity of Thailand and the economies, from corporate coffee centers to indigenous plantations, and also fruit carts on the street. The diversity we encountered wasn't only businesses, but also the interfaith, like Toby talked about, as well as being immersed in the mixing between Buddhism and the Thai culture of good luck and blessings, and the other present religions there, such as Islam and Christianity within the country. Everyone respects everyone, with the youth respecting their elders and the simple bowing at every sawatika or hello. It's present in Thailand and extremely contagious, and our cohort was extremely impacted by this, so we want to share this consideration here back at home.
So we really want to say thank you for listening to our presentation on Thailand. It was an incredible experience again, and we want to thank you specifically for the prayers as well as the support, because that does mean a lot to us, especially in this time where, you know, certain global events can always change one thing one way or another, as well as just for the generosity of everyone. And Luke, if you want to close.
Yeah, we also want to put out a very, very, very big thank you to the anonymous donor that made it possible for us to go to Thailand entirely paid for. That was absolutely amazing. And they're covering the first 20 students that go, first 20 business cohort students on these Thailand trips until the first 20 are done. So just want to put out a very big thank you to the donor who made that possible for us to go completely paid for. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to us. If you have more questions or want to hear more stories from us, we have a gazillion, and we cannot fit them all into this chapel. So talk to us if you have any more questions or stories that you want to hear or share. Yeah, and you're dismissed from the front. Please scan with McKenna.
คิดบ่ฝันว่าสิ่งที่เฮาตั้งใจเอาไว้ว่าสิออกไปเหตุการณ์เหตุงานหาเงินเลี้ยงดูอีพ่ออีแม่แต่ว่าสุดท้ายเฮานั้นกำยังออกบ้านเพื่อคนเพื่อหาความเจ็บปวดเจ็บปวดพื้นที่ตรงนี้มันบ่ได้มีสำหรับคนที่ยากจนชีวิตของเฮาเป็นหยังคือพบคือเจอแต่ความเสียใจเป็นหยังคือเป็นจังซี่เป็นหยังคือเป็นจังซี่เกิดเป็นคนบ้านเฮานี้มีแต่เจ็บโอ้บังลาเอ้ยใส่ชีวิตให้มวลบ่ต้องห่วงอีพ่อดอกโอ้บังลาเอ้ยต้องดูแลตัวเองอย่าลืมคำที่พ่อสอนเมื่อโลกมันโหดร้ายให้วางลงและจงเข้าใจถ้าหากใครแคลนอย่าไปฟังสร้างเขาถ้าหากเหงาให้กลับมากินข้าวกันที่บ้านของเฮา สุขสบายบ่ได้ลำบากมีข้าวให้กินมีบ้านให้อยู่มีเงินให้ใช้แต่ว่าความจริงแล้วลูกแค่อยากให้พ่อกับแม่บ่ต้องคิดและบ่ต้องห่วงลูกดอกลูกสบายดีว่าลูกสบายดีแค่นั้นเองลูกสบายดีว่าลูกสบายดีแค่นั้นเอง
โอ้ยลาเอ้ยใส่ชีวิตให้มวลบ่ต้องห่วงอีแม่ดอกโอ้ยลาเอ้ยต้องดูแลตัวเองอย่าลืมคำที่แม่สอนเมื่อโลกมันโหดร้ายให้วางลงและจงเข้าใจถ้าหากใครแกล้งอย่าไปฟังสร้างเขาถ้าหากเหงาให้กลับมากินข้าวกันที่บ้านของเราบ่มีอีหยังบ่ต้องห่วงเด้อแม่ลูกอยู่สุขสบายบ่ได้ลำบากมีข้าวให้กินมีบ้านให้อยู่มีเงินให้ใช้แต่ว่าความจริงแล้วลูกแค่อยากให้พ่อกับแม่บ่ต้องคิดและบ่ต้องห่วงลูกดอกลูกสบายดีลูกสบายดีแค่นั้นเอง
ว่าลูกสบายดีลูกสบายดีลูกสบายดี บ่คิดบ่ฝันว่าสิ่งที่เฮาตั้งใจเอาไว้ว่าสิออกไปเหตุการณ์เหตุงานหาเงินเลี้ยงดูอีพ่ออีแม่แต่ว่าสุดท้ายเฮานั้นกำยังออกบ้านเพื่อคนเพื่อหาความเจ็บปวดเจ็บปวดพื้นที่ตรงนี้มันบ่ได้มีสำหรับคนที่ยากจนชีวิตของเฮาเป็นหยังคือพบคือเจอแต่ความเสียใจเป็นหยังคือเป็นจังซี่เป็นหยังคือเป็นจังซี่เกิดเป็นคนบ้านเฮานี้มีแต่เจ็บโอ้บังลาเอ้ยใส่ชีวิตให้มวลบ่ต้องห่วงอีพ่อดอกโอ้บักลาเอ้ยต้องดูแลตัวเองอย่าลืมคำที่พ่อสอนเมื่อโลกมันโหดร้ายให้วางลงและจงเข้าใจถ้าหากใครแคลนอย่าไปฟังสร้างเขาถ้าหากเหงาให้กลับมากินข้าวกันที่บ้านของเฮา